Hello, everybody. This is Rev Lorena from Celestial Time. I got inspired this morning, and I want to share something with my peeps. And yesterday, I put up a video on the other thing where you could see my hands and you could see everything. And of course, it didn't work. And this morning, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it a clunky way because I'm going to teach you, especially my peeps, but I'm going to teach you a real simple way to understand astrology. And I know that's like not easy. Okay, but what I got here, I got a blank chart. You see, oops. Okay, I got to change the lighting a little bit. We don't need all the flare. There, that's better. Okay. All right. Now, think about astrology like somebody was coming to your house, or you were going to their house, and you've never met each other, and the plan was you're going to stay like a month. You know, this is a timeshare, or it's a Verbo or something like that. Okay, Verbo astrology. That's what we're going to call this. But anyway, so the first we start with the houses, the houses and the planets and the signs. They all intermingle. They all go together. Okay, so and they all kind of are part of each other. So first thing that we're going to do is when you meet somebody, when they come to your house, okay, they come in, here's a pen. They answer, knock, 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 knock. They answer the door, or you answer the door. Okay, let's make it you for easy. Okay, now you want them, because you want them to stay, because they're going to be paying you money and helping with the bills and stuff like that. So you're kind of interviewing, you know. All right, well, you want them to stay, so you want to be on your best behavior. You want them to see you. You know, you want the persona. You're coming off with my first meeting, the persona, you know. And so are they. They've got, so you're looking at each other, but you're not seeing what's really underneath right yet. Interestingly enough, if you're intuitive, you can use your intuition to see a lot deeper, but nevertheless. Okay, so that is represented by the first house. The first house is Aries. It's ruled by Mars. Okay, well, Aries and Mars, they're the kind of the same thing in so many ways. And this is the first meeting. It's new. It's the aggressive part. It's getting started. Okay, so your ascendant in an astrology chart is what people meet first. Okay, it's who they see outside. It's who you're trying to be. When you're young, you live in your ascendant most of the time, and the ascendant is what do other people think? Am I going to be embarrassed? I want people to. I care about what people think. Okay, all right. When you get older, you don't care so much, but you do. Okay, so Mars, first meeting, aggression, or assertiveness, or all the things that come with first. That's Mars. Okay, what do you do then? You invite them in, right? Okay, and now you've cleaned your house. You want them to be impressed with your stuff. Okay, Taurus is ruled by Venus, value, beauty. You show them your artwork. You show them around the best places of your house. Maybe you got a hot tub in the back, all kinds of things. But it's all about, this is what I got. See, this is me. This is my persona. I got good clothes on, and this is what I've got. Either that, or I got crappy clothes on, and I don't want you to care. But anyway, what it is about, this is how you want people. You want to show off your stuff, however that is, okay? And that's Venus. Venus is you also want them to like you, but mostly it's about your stuff and your talents and your beauty. Maybe you show them your art room, maybe you're into music, and maybe you're checking to see if they like art or they like music while you're doing that. You're looking at it. That's Venus. That's the second house. Okay, so remember that it's Venus and it's Taurus and it's the second house. All three of those things represent that value in some way, some shape or form. No matter later on when you learn more about astrology, all these things get mixed up. the Venus might be in the 10th house. Taurus is in the 4th house. But that come in and let me show you who I am, show you what I got. That's Taurus energy. The next one is Gemini energy. Okay. Now Gemini energy, you bring them in. Now we're going to sit in the foyer or the living room or something, the deck, and we're going to talk nice. We're going to communicate. We're going to begin to really have a conversation about who each other are. Okay, because remember, this is an interview. Who is each other? Okay, it's Mercury. Mercury rules this sign. Okay, Mercury wants to trade information. Okay, what are you doing? How you doing it? And not only that, we're going to talk about the neighborhood here, 3rd house, and we'll probably talk about our family, 3rd house. Okay, so I'm going to put Mars in the 1st house, Venus in the 2nd house, Mercury in the 3rd house. It behooves you to remember these signs. Okay, that's something, if we were doing an astrology class, we don't want you to remember the gifts of these signs. Okay, so we're talking, we're communicating, we're checking on the neighborhood, where's the schools, and how am I going to get to work? Is there a bus route? Where's my car going to be parked? All of those kind of maintenance type, everyday communications with each other, family members, children, not so much children, but family members and, brothers and sisters and stuff. When you're sitting down and you're meeting someone for the first time, kind of the conversation does run to, well, who are you and what's your family like, and who are you and what's your family like, and back and forth. Okay, so that's Mercury giving information on a kind of a mundane basis. The 4th house. Now let's go to the kitchen. Okay, let's go into the kitchen in the 4th house. This is now we're going to have a meal together. You're thinking about, this is going to be your home. Let me show you where your room would be, because it's your home and it's my home too. So it's about home, family. This is also a mother and father house. Okay, so but because it's Cancer, the sign Cancer rules this house, and it's ruled by the moon. Okay, well, the moon is emotional. It is how you going to feel comfortable. Where is your most comfortable feeling? And the other person and you both are thinking to yourself, well, am I going to like living with this person? You're kind of taking stock, but here's the refrigerator, and this is how we would do this. It's back and forth. You give them a meal. Let's have lunch. Okay, we'll give them a meal. Let's talk about our parents. All right, let's talk more about our past over lunch and our deep past, and how we grew up and how we came up and our expectations. So we're really getting to know the person, kind of like them, getting to know them really well. Okay, now the 5th house. The 5th house is where you're really kind of like them. This is the sun house. This is ruled by the sun. And your sun is what you came to develop in this lifetime. And if you're not 45 yet, you probably aren't even into that very much. You're still mostly living under your ascendant, okay? So your sun says, hey, let's play a little bit. What shall we do? Let's go explore the nightlife, or where's the best entertainment and different things to do. And can we be, you're thinking, can I play with this person? Can I have a good time with this person? And they're thinking the same thing about you, okay? And then so that your deeper self is beginning to come out now, and not only that, in the 4th house, they stayed overnight. Probably they got up in the morning and had breakfast. They stayed overnight, or you're getting to know them better, however you want to think of that. But the 5th house, do they have children? Do you have children? Let's talk about your children. How are we playful? How are we fun and funny? How will we get along? What is our relationship with others? What kind of relationship? Will we have a fun relationship or not so much? This is the 5th house. Okay. All right, so that's the sun, and that's when especially when you get older, of your deeper essence will come out, the sun sign energy. I'm an Aquarius, so I'm kind of erratic. I don't have a lot of schedules. Somebody might have a lot of schedules. So in the 6th house, that's when we talk about the schedules. that 6 has Virgo energy. I mean, this was Leo. Leo is like that. Leo is the fun, the inner child always. Virgo is the taskmaster. Okay, so let's really talk about now when you're going to move in and stuff like that. What are our schedules going to be? Do you work second shift, first shift? What do I work? What time do you get up? What time do I get up? What are the kind of the mechanics, of how we would get along? So that's also ruled by Virgo, but it's also ruled by Chiron now. Chiron is the wounded healer. When you're really into a relationship, people are starting to come in and stay for a while. You're going to end up in relationship with them because they're living in your house. You're seeing them in the morning when it's breakfast time. Even if they have the room and you don't, even if it's casual, but it may be casual. It may move on to be something deeper. Whether it's male or female, I'm not talking about that right now, but a deeper long-term commitment. But right now, it's the mechanics. The deeper long-term commitment comes up here in the 7th house, okay? See, we're progressing. They knocked on the door. We found out. They moved in. Now, the 6th house is how it's all going to work. Are they sloppy or are they not? Please clean up after yourself. What are our work schedules? What are our life values as far as cleanliness and godliness? All right. The 7th house is, I think this is going to work, or I don't think it's going to work. This is kind of a breaking point right here. This is the ecliptic right here. This is the ascendant and descendant. If it works, we're going to sign a lease. Maybe we're going to sign a contract. We're going to, even if it's verbal, we're going to sign a contract that says, okay, this is going to work. All right. This is okay. How are we going to do it? It's open contracts, and it's also open enemies, because we've gotten to know a little bit about this person now, and they probably moved in the 4th house. Okay. But you see the progression here. Okay. So, or they decided to move in the 4th house. See where I'm going with this. This can be applied to 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, however the time frame you want to put this. Okay, so now the 7th house is Libra. So Libra is about contracts and balance and like I said, open enemies and marriage and all things like that. So all the things that would have to do with the written, spoken legality balance of this relationship. You got this person that knocked on your door a while ago, and you let them in, and they moved in, and here they are now because we said yes, so we moved in, and now Libra is ruled by Venus again. Now, I honestly don't believe that they've just found the other planet, because I don't believe in dual planet signs. It just doesn't make sense to me. But right now, this is the higher octave of Venus. The Venus in relationships, Venus in love, Venus in higher getting along. Like I said, in this place, Venus is about long-term commitments, plans, committed relationships. It's about what you build together and stuff like that. But let's just go with open contracts and stuff like that, because marriage is an open contract too. The love part of marriage comes here in the 5th house. Okay, and then you're married, and here's the marriage, and now you're in the 7th house, and oh God, now we got to live together. And then there's the 8th house. We got to pay the bills. When you really know each other now, you've got this open contract, but now comes the reality of things. Who's going to pay the bills? Are they really going to do it? How do you function with money? You learn that over time, okay? And this is the house of Scorpio. So hidden things are starting to come out, you don't really know somebody until you lived with them for a while. So, how they come out, if it's a love relationship or if it turns into a love relationship on the 7th house. On the 8th house is about sexuality too, and how you get along, how you cope, but mostly it's the compatibility of what's fair, what's just, everyday money, and your old wounds are going to start to come out here, because Scorpio is about letting go of the past and old wounds, and it's ruled by Pluto. It's the ruler that they still think is Mars. Like Mars was the first house, and now Mars is going to be the 8th house. Pluto, they've decided, rules Scorpio, just like they now pretty much decided that Chiron, the healer, rules Virgo. They just haven't found what's supposed to be there for Libra yet, and I'm sure they will in the coming years. But anyway, so here we've got transformation and change. That's what Pluto's all about. Pluto is about the heavy-duty, long-term progression of how things are going to go. Are we going to buy a house together? Are we going to, get along and have children together? All of this stuff is now come crashing in on the reality of things. The deep, the pain starts to come in from past and past lives. And if we're still together, we're working through that together. Remember, we came into the door. Now it gets into that. Who's paying the bills? Do we get a contract for a house? Did we get married? Are we going to have a contract? Who's going to pay the bills if it's just a roommate? Did you pay your part of the electric bill? What do you mean you don't have a job right now? Different things like that come in. And then the 9th house is travel, it's higher education, it's higher mindedness, it's spirituality. And the 9th house, that's ruled by Jupiter. It's Sagittarius. Excuse me. Sagittarius is, I call it Uncle God, So Sagittarius is up here going, we do have our differences and we do have this, but we can be playful. We can take the high road. We can see the higher things. Oh, maybe this is a relationship where one person decides to go back to school, or one person's values and ethics are different than the others. But Jupiter is how they expand and how you expand and how you both gain from this union, this coming together. Okay, so Jupiter is, and it's a good place. It's fun. You may decide to go take trips together, travel in the summer. This turns into your best friend that you travel with forever and ever. Okay, and you do all kinds of good things with. You talk till you can talk to midnight about spirituality or concepts or all kinds of things. Now the 10th house, that's careers and honors. When it comes right down to it, especially if this is a contract for a rental, or somebody's living in your house and and they've been there for a year, who's really in charge? Who's the boss? Okay, Saturn. Who has to be responsible? Really responsible? Whose name is things in? Who what do we do? Who's the responsible one? This is Saturn. This is where the rubber hits the road. And Saturn is the taskmaster, the hour hand. It's not a bad thing. I mean, it's very good to make sure that you can have all kinds of fun, enjoy each other's company, even have good sex. Okay, but if you don't have the responsibility in the relationship or anything else, then there's problems. Okay, all right. So then there's the 11th house. 11th house is kind of the goals in life. That's Aquarian energy. That's how do we see ourselves in the future? How do we get along in our community? What do we do? This is everybody else's job too. How are we going to do the future? What is our goals in this situation? And Aquarian energy is ruled by Uranus. And if anybody's lived any length of time, they know that, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. So your goals are there, but there's also the higher element of spirituality that comes in and gives the twists and turns of life that you then see, well, can we make it through these changes and these twists and turns? And there's idealism and there's everything else that comes in Aquarius. And no matter how good the relationship is, there has to be freedom. Aquarius is thing says, what's the nature of true freedom? So yes, we've got all these commitments, we made all of these plans, but yet we still have to be an individual. And Then there's the 12th house. It's just the last house. The last house is Piscean energy. It can be called self-undoing, but it's only self-undoing when the illusion of Neptune rules this house. So Neptune comes in and says, well, I really thought I wanted it this way, but now I want it this way. Or, oh my goodness, I fell into addiction. Or, oh my goodness, I imagine things different than you imagine them. Or it's a house of karma. Neptune, we've come to the end of our journey because we've touched on all the things we needed to touch on to this relationship. It may be time to move to something else in our life. Move out, move away, move on. But the 12th house is karma. Since you let this person into your life and you've gone through this cycle with them, there's definitely karma. You've known them in other lifetimes and you've seen and done things in other lifetimes together. And you've been working that out in this lifetime. And it may be time, like I said, when it's time to move to the first house again, because it's all a never-ending wheel. It's a cycle of time. This Neptunian energy says, I don't know if I like this anymore. I've got new imagination, and I've grown, and I'm different, and I just... You can't put your finger on Neptune. Neptune energy is also kind of like Venus in a way. It's also creative, also imaginative, but it's imaginative to the highest octave and delusional to the lowest. So you could have thought it was all one way, and then all of a sudden it's another. Maybe it was all one way, and now it is another. It just because it's changing here doesn't mean it wasn't the way it was here, and that brings you into trust issues too. You see where I'm going? So Neptune, Pisces, the 12th house, all about kind of the culmination of that cycle with that person that knocked on your door, and you went through this cycle with them. Okay. Now, how you read these cycles, if you're looking at somebody's chart, one of the simplest ways to read them is with Saturn. Because Saturn takes 2.5 years to get through a sign, and all the way around the chart, it takes 29.5 years. So if you see where Saturn is when you're looking at someone's chart, or even their sun, you can get a glimpse or an idea of where on this wheel, where on this life journey they are. But that's for another class, okay, or another time. But listen, I wanted to share this with my girls, with my peeps, anybody else that is interested. Astrology is patterns and cycles. Okay, so if you are born with the sun in Taurus and the moon in Gemini, and their rising sign is Virgo, because you see this chart goes around. This goes around in 24 hours. Okay. Things are rising all the time. The rising sign is the minute you open your eyes to birth the first time. If you looked at the east, at the horizon, that would be in that degree out in an imaginary circle from the space you were born in. You were born right here. If you look out there, your rising sign, your ascendant, it's the first light that hit you. It is the first, and even if it's dark, it's not that kind of light. That light is where the sun is at that time. It might have been midnight, so your sun would be down here, but where the sun was rising in the circle on the planet, that's your rising sign. That's where the light hits you, whether you realize it or not, because you're on Earth, and that's where the light is hitting Earth at this moment, at any given moment. This is, this is how this thing works. These signs change every 2.5 or 3 hours, about 2.5 hours. Okay, so, but where the light hits you first is what you will shine with first. Your sun, that is what you came to develop. That's going to be where there's a big focus on this life, whatever house that is, whatever sign that is. That's what you're learning and growing into. Your moon, which is the emotional cover-up, shall we say, the block between the sun and the moon sometimes, that's going to tell where your feelings are, where your intensity is, where your wounding also is quite often, okay? So anyway, there's a lot more to astrology in a way, but if you just keep that idea of here is somebody's knocking on your door, getting to know them, you know, letting them move in. How's the kitchen thing work? Do we have fun? You know, what's the work schedule? Are we going to continue this after, you know, the trial period? Is it going to, you know, are we going to pay our bills and stuff like that? How do we see each other spiritually? Who's really in charge? What's the goals? We think this is going to be last a long time? What triggers do we kick in each other after we've known each other a while? Those things continue. You can see them in everybody's life all the time. When you're looking at a chart, you're seeing the snapshot of what they wanted to learn, do, and understand in this lifetime. It's kind of like a roadmap of their intention. So then you just take what you know about the signs, the planets, and the houses, and you put them into the places they are now. And then there's aspects and things that go to it. You know, like if your sun is in Aquarius when you're born, but the sun really belongs in Leo by its nature, because the sun and Leo in the 5th house, they all go together, remember? So that means that your intent in this lifetime opposes its natural spot. So you want to reach out and become something new from the norm, you see. Whereas if it was square, it would be, you know, like the pool ball, when you hit a side shot, bank shot, and it goes into the side pocket. It's more difficult, but it's when you do it, you're really proud of yourself, you know. So the square, whereas the trine is pretty easy shots. You need to keep it simple, stupid. And when I can get some astrologers, when I hear them and they start going, well, there's a sextiquadral to the asteroid Gilgamesh, you know, and it's doing this, and we've got this and we've got that. My mind, I just lost it right there. And I hope that some of you haven't just lost it when I'm talking here. I hope not, because I'm a pattern thinker. I'm dyslexic. Many people are. Many people are ADHD in this framework. So it takes the Virgonians and the ones that really want to, you know, get down to the nitty gritty and understand how to and care about diagramming a sentence, you know, that love the mathematics of astrology. I love astrology, but I can see the patterns of the squares and the oppositions, and I can see. It's almost like I take 3 wheels in my head. First is the regular natural astrology, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and then I put the person's ascendant, where that is, and then and then I look at the houses or the planets that go on that, and then that go to the kind of natural. I say, like, okay, where it is, where it was, where it is, where it was, and I can see patterns there. Okay, so hopefully that's helped you some. Hopefully, you know, you understand. I'm going to shut up now because I can go on with this forever, and it becomes even more, it goes from simple to complicated the more you talk about it. So anyway, that's enough. It's a 30-minute video, so I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you. See you later.